In this video, we're going to work with area charts. Area charts are very similar to line charts in that they show change over time. The key difference being that the area between the line and the x-axis is shaded in. So for example, taking our long-term CO2, I'm going to come up to Chart Design, come to Change Chart Type, come down to Area, and choose Area Chart. And when I say OK, very similar, but arguably a little bit more eye-catching. There are, however, situations where the area chart may prove to be a more effective visualization. Let's look at an example. So we're going to come to emissions by region, and Rohan has already created a line chart tracking the increase in emissions by the major world regions. Unfortunately, this chart is really messy, and so not so easy to read. What Rohan would ideally like to show is the proportional increase by region in emissions as well as the total increase, and he can do this by using a stacked area chart. Very similar to the stacked column chart we saw in our first topic this week. So we're going to click on the emissions by region chart, and we're going to come to change chart type. We're going to come down to area, and if we were to choose just a standard area chart, you can see that's not really going to solve the problem. If anything, it's making it worse because I can't see all the areas that are hidden behind the others. So I'm not going to choose that option. I'm going to choose the stacked area. We're going to say OK. And there is a very attractive and readable chart. Great, let's copy that. So just click on the edge, Control C, come back to our line and area, and we'll just pop that into B31. And now we've got one final example that we're going to create from scratch. So we're going to come to our last tab, which are emissions by sector. But here Rohan wants to do something quite different. He actually wants to see how the different sectors' proportional contributions to CO2 have changed over time. So we're not looking for the actual amount, but the proportion, a bit more like a pie chart. And for this, we're going to use a 100% stacked chart. So start by clicking into C3, hold Ctrl-Shift down and press your right arrow and your down arrow. Then release Ctrl and Shift, and then we're going to come to our insert. We're going to come across to line chart, but we're going to choose the 100% stacked area, and this will show us the percentage contribution of each of our sectors. With the chart still selected, we're going to come to Format, and we're going to make it again 14 high by 24 wide like the last video. And now I'm just going to move it up so you can see it more easily. Again, we're going to need to fix our horizontal axis. So good revision, we can come to Chart Design, select Data, click Edit under Horizontal Category Axis, click onto 1960 and Ctrl-Shift down arrow, and then press Enter and click OK. Of course, we should give this chart a proper title. So clicking into Chart Title, I'm going to press Ctrl-A and type Emissions by Sector. And then one final little formatting tweak we'd like to make. Instead of showing the labels on the legend, we would actually like to see the labels on the segments again, more like a pie chart. So we're going to come to our chart elements. We're going to turn off our legend. And instead, we're going to turn our data labels on. But oh dear, what a mess. Instead of putting the series label, it's put the value labels. But we can easily change this. So click onto one set of data labels. And then another way to get that panel on the right open, we're going to right-click and format data labels. Now you see at the moment, it's showing the value. We're going to untick value and turn series name on. Now, unfortunately, we have to do these one at a time, but it's pretty quick. We're just going to untick value, turn on series, and then repeat that for each of our series. Now, this will probably look a little better in white. So I'm going to come to my Home tab, make them white, maybe increase the size, and then to apply that to the others, I'm going to use my Format Painter. So I'm going to double click the Format Painter, and then just single click onto each of my labels, which will apply the same formatting. Then single click on your Format Painter again to turn it off. Now let's select our whole chart, Ctrl C, come back to our line and area chart, pop it into P31 to complete your emissions overview report. One last thing we're going to talk about in this video, and that's colors. When we're using visualizations, obviously colors are very important. And it may be that the colors you see here will not represent your organization or the type of data that you're trying to represent. Now, there are two ways you can approach this. For example, coming to our emissions by region, these two last series are not really standing out. So I'm going to click on the second last series, and I'm going to come to my Format tab, and I'm going to come to my Shape Fill, and you've got some theme colors, and generally I'd recommend use the theme colors, but if you don't want to, you can come to More Fill Colors, Custom, and there's so much you can choose from. I'm going to come back to Standard, and I'm going to go for quite a dark blue and say OK. I'm going to choose my last series, and I'm just going to make that a light blue. So that's one way you could approach it, but we've already created quite a lot of charts, and to manually go and change each of the colors in each of those charts, it's going to be very time consuming. And we also run the risk of losing consistency. So a better approach is to come to your Page Layout tab, come to the Themes button, which controls the colors used within your workbook, and you'll see as I hover over the different themes, it completely changes the color scheme and sometimes the font scheme within your workbook. When you find one that you like the look of, you can click to apply the changes. Now you'll notice that has also changed my font, and if I don't want that to happen, you can mix and match. If I come back to fonts, I can just set it back to Calibri, and you could just go and change your colors. You even have the option to come down to customize colors, and you can go and set up your own color scheme altogether. We're not going to do that now though. You'll notice, having changed our colors, all the colors in the workbook, not just on this sheet, but on the pies and donuts and the techniques, have changed except for those two blues that I added before. And that's because they weren't theme colors. So the benefit of using theme colors is when you change your theme, the colors all change. Now I'm going to go back, I'm going to undo, and set it back to the colors that I had before because I really like those colors. But you have a play, find a color scheme that works for you.